right. Miss Jessica. So I'm so glad to have you have this opportunity to speak with you about your story in Jots and Tittles of Scribes and Storytellers, Volume 3. I am so glad.
I was just excited to be asked to be a part of it, because I remember when you did the first one, and I was like, oh, one day I'm gonna be able to do some fiction,
Yeah.
and then like when you asked, I was like, oh.
Because I knew you had a story in you. I knew you did, and you did. And did you ever, girl? When you sent me your draft, I was like, no, she didn't. This is good right here.
And it's funny because I was going a whole different way, and then sometimes life kind of inspires this, and I was like,
And
I'm like,
tell the people about who you are, because of course, I know you, and I'm in love with you. I've been in love with you for a long time. So tell everybody who you are and a little bit about your chapter.
Mm-hmm. So I am Jessica Highsmith. I have been birthed out of Elder D. I have, you guys. She is still one of my business and book mentors, like forever. She can't part from me. So, but I am the co-owner with the Holy Spirit of Empower Me Enterprises, and now Ministry Empowered to Heal. And so I specialize as far as ministry is concerned in healing and deliverance for the marketplace ministry. Most of the books that we help people birth and publish are mainly out of healing and deliverance. So it just kind of came natural. And then for this project, Lexi Sips Tea, it was kind of a fun story and kind of inspiration. So, corporate world meets inspiration, where you got to understand that as a minority woman climbing up the ladder, that, as we all know, it can be a beast. It can really be a beast. And, Lexi knowing that, okay, she too is called to marketplace ministry, but she still has that girly-tude, that attitude. And so God is still working on deliverance, of her in that area. But at the same time, he's still stretching her and expecting for her to go forth. And at the same time, she's dealing with real life at work. And so this kind of, it's like that urban meets ministry at work, and how we have to navigate through it, and then why we are able to remember that, even though these things hit us like with our natural man, like that there's always something, in operation behind what we see and what we're feeling and encountering ourselves. So that's kind of what it is. And then kind of like that humor.
Yes. What I love about Lexi Sips Her Tea, knowing that you have a STEM background and that you work in that area, and seeing how you blended that within Lexi's character, and reason why I love that is because a lot of times authors forget that you can use real life, you can use your own experiences and embed them within your characters and within your stories. And it actually makes it easier to write because you know that you don't have to go out and try to conjure up something or figure out something. Exactly. It's very authentic to who you are.
Yep. About all my background, like all of me, the ministry, corporate, my blackness, and, and STEM, and I'm a woman. And I mean, these are the everyday challenges that we deal with in all areas of our life. And so I thought it would be fun and, could reach, all different types of people. People can relate to it and understand, and still get that humor. Because, sometimes in my real life, I'm still that's sarcastic, but in a fun loving way. And I found myself even on a job before where I'm a strong coffee drinker, but I also love urban tea. And so with herbal teas, I would do that. And there used to be this going joke. And whenever somebody would say something crazy, they would call me Susan. They were like, okay. Susan her tea. She's her tea again, you know. And I was yes. Lexi sips her tea. And it was a really good twist. Even on the Alex J, if you remember the Alex J pen name that we came up with from the Misfits, I was like, yes. Well, if Alex grew up, what would her name be? Lexi J.
Exactly. That's another good point, though, because a lot of times people, I get authors who think or believe that their characters have to be simple in time. And what I mean by that is only for that moment. Yeah. And what we don't realize is our characters can grow, and we can start here and then they can mature over time and carry out throughout other stories or other works that we do. Yeah.
That's what she's done. Alex J has grown up. She's now Lexi J, and I just thought it would be fun.
So what was it about this particular project that really was a blessing to you or a benefit to you as an author?
Honestly, I think because, like I said, I was coming from a different place, a different story. And at the same time, I was kind of like, God, maybe I just need to like not do this. Maybe I should just tell you, like, you know, maybe somebody else.
That wasn't going to happen. I'm glad you didn't ask.
And I was like, oh God, because, you know, as you know, like with all of my stuff, when I'm working on stuff, I'm always going through, I feel like, everything in the whole wide world. And I have come to find, which I should know by now, that when God is stretching, it's like, I feel like the whole world, like everything starts to come against me. And this ended up being very therapeutic for me to, you know, be able to get out like what I was dealing with, how I was going through, you know, and just kind of like be able to just stretch it and just see like how God can use it. And it was just really therapeutic. It was fun, you know, it was a good way to write out like how you would like to respond.
You could have, yes.
And so it was really good for me. It was really good for me. It helped kind of put me back at a leveled place that I needed to be, because as you know, I think when I talked to you a couple months ago, I was like, whoa. So this was a blessing for me, you know, and it was a fun way to be able to write and to be able to use your gift and to kind of sharpen your tools too and your skills. And so like for me, I feel like when I'm writing, like I'm constantly growing, you know, like there were things you reached out to me and were like, hey, you need to work on this and do this. And I was like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. You know? So it's just like, for me, this is just good, you know, to be able to be around other people that are doing it, to be a part of something that's bigger than yourself.
Yes.
And that you operate in a spirit of excellence, doggone it. Like, you know, like there's that.
To God be all the glory, truly, you know, by his grace and for his glory, right? Oh. You know, and what I love about this book too is, and I think I think it was Pastor Sandra about it. The Jots and Tittles series for me, I wanted a place where writers can come and write that were spirit led, but it didn't sound religious.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. I think in one of my posts, I was talking about how, like, you know, believers, please understand that you can read something outside of the Bible and you're not going to hell.
Yes, right. Because we have real life experiences where we have to apply the word in our lives, right? Mm-hmm. As we go along. And sometimes we're not going to be talking in King James.
That's right. Like, you need to be able to convert that to the language that we use today, so that you can apply it and make it applicable to your life. Yes. Talking about real life Bible applications.
Yes.
You know, because Lexi needed to know, how do I handle these folks on this job, honey? Yes. Like, you know, for me, I felt like, oh, okay, I went back and I got encouragement from Lexi.
From Lexi, right. Because we don't, you know, our relationship with God isn't just on Sundays.
That's right.
It's during your work day, right? And what if that's the field that God has called you to represent him?
Yes. That's
now
right.
how do you act? Now how do you apply the word? Now how do you allow his spirit to be in place?
That's it. That's it. Like, I feel like the story in itself also, it stretches me. It's accountability for me, right? So for me, it was kind of like, oh man, like when I look at Lexi, I'm like, well, Jessica, how are you in the workplace? You know, how are you when you get angry with folks? Because Lord knows I get angry, you know, and I'm like, you know, like I might have to turn my screen off sometimes. I'm just like, you know,
frustrated or when pressure is applied or anything like that.
So
are you carrying God with him through your workday, or did you just leave him in your morning devotion and leave him in the room and you just went off to work without him?
Exactly. So I was just like, I started to even going through and write, and I was just like, oh, Jess, you and Lexi gotta sit down, girl.
Yeah, have a conversation.
Have a conversation. You know, like, let's evaluate ourselves and let's see what we can work on in this quarter. You know, like not this year, in this quarter. Start small in this quarter of the year. What can we work on? And then we'll reevaluate again the next quarter, you know, and go from there. But I just, the whole book process, just, you know, as for ever, like I told you, the spirit of excellence is always on everything that you do. And, you know, so that helps stretch me too, because it's just kind of like, okay, you got to get this done. You got get out of your mind and, you know, get out of everything and stop letting stuff try to pull you back. Because, you know, my own personal projects, I'm like,
right.
You know how it goes. We focus on trying to do everybody else's project.
Which is why I'm so excited that book 3 is out, because it's my own personal, and I've got everybody else's books out, and I'm like, this is my personal project. And I'm so grateful that Holy Spirit said, okay, now focus on this and get it done. But I could not have done it without you guys' help. So thank you so much for all of your contribution and just doing the hard thing.
I was so proud. I was like, I go out there showing my husband, I'm like, I'm a part of a real book. And he's like, you publish books. I'm like, I'm a part of a real book. Like,
even though you're already a published author.
I'm growing up in the world.
Right, we all are. So Jess, if people want to get in touch with you, where do they go?
Well, yeah, I'm on a few different things. You can go to the website, www.empowermeenterprises.com, or you can find me on social media or Instagram at Empower Me Books. So pretty much either one of those, give me a shout and I'll definitely respond to you either same day or within 48 hours.
Or at least 48 hours.
We work. We got real jobs out here too while we trying to be kingdompreneurs. Like, you know.
Is there anything you want to share with the viewers before we say goodbye?
Y'all, seriously, if y'all got a book that you need to birth, go see Elder D. And then if you know, if she ain't got time to help you, you can come see me too. You know. It's cool things. It's kingdom. And, and if I don't understand something, I'm gonna go to her anyway.
Well, we are currently already taking submissions for new contributors for book 4, which will be coming out next year, 2023. Oh my God! But anyway,
that by the time 2023 comes, it's gonna be some movies. I'm telling you, it's gonna be some movies that comes out of this version.
Come on.
No, I already know. I can tell you that one you wrote, I know for certain. I got to go back and finish reading everybody else's. I know that's gonna be a movie. It better be. I was like,
yes. You know what? Nobody gets to interview me. You know what? Wait a minute. I just thought about that. I love my story. Can I take a minute? I really, my story, what I love about is called The Prodigal's Sister. And really, if you go read book 1, volume 1, you'll realize it's the other sister. But what it is, what I did was I had to grow just like everybody else does. And so as I finished that story and people were reading it, they had questions and they said there were some gaps that they wanted to fill. And so I didn't get to it in book 2, but when I got to book 3, I completed it. and see what I'm saying? And finished it. And I had to change the name because I didn't want to confuse people, but it's literally The Other Sister just finished.
Let me tell you, so you need to take both of them and put them in one book.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
That book, you need to let that market to become the movie script for that book, so I can buy it. I'm gonna be first.
You buy it.
Because I couldn't see that. I'm just trying to see. Yes. I said that when I started reading it, I was just like, my God, this is a movie. And I was like, go and watch it. And I know Lexi Sips Tea is a movie because
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So what I loved about the Prodigal Son, when I was, oh my gosh, early on in my Christian walk, I would read the Prodigal Son. And a lot of times when we minister about the prodigal son, we talk about the prodigal. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very rarely do we talk about the one who stayed behind. And so I always thought, what about him? What about him? How did he feel? How,
You know what's funny is because a little bit before I read your story and realized that this was the prodigal son, mm-hmm. I had just was reading that story maybe a few weeks prior because I was going through something, and somebody was like, well, you got to be happy for the other person even when they come back and all of that. And I was like, I still, when it comes to that Bible story, I understood the older sibling to a certain extent. He was right, but I understood where he was coming from.
Yeah.
And so when I read your story, I was like,
yeah,
confirmation, Jesus. But I was so happy to see how she did. Even when it came down to choosing the guy.
Yes.
The setup, you just, somebody would, I just knew. I don't know why, I just knew, but somebody would read it and be thinking oh yeah, she's about to go hook up with this dude. I said, because that's not even her character.
That's right.
Some people don't realize that. Even about real life people, they have this preconceived of, oh yeah, that's what she would do. And it just lets you know, you really don't know them at all.
You really don't know them at all.
Because she had always been that person.
Right.
Right. She always been that person. A little moment where she went and was about herself for that night, but it was she was about herself for one night.
Yeah. And it took her a conversation with her father, the father, to really come back to herself. So it was the prodigal only the one that left? No, the prodigal was also the one who stayed. So she had to have a conversation with daddy to realize that love is truly unconditional for both of them, no matter what their journey was. And so I don't want to tell any more. The cool thing about my story is everybody knows the prodigal son. So you kind of know what's going to happen, but the way we did it is a little different.
This was good. The
way we did it was
almost remind me of high class society, mm-hmm. but at the same time, relatable.
Yeah.
And then with that urban twist to it, almost it kind of, I was, I could see Lexi hanging out with them.
Yes. Her Duran hanging out.
These are Lexi's girlfriends. This is what it is.
Because again, it's all about our regular lives. We just apply the word through it. So thank you for letting me have a few minutes to talk about my story, because I'm nobody's interviewing me.
Oh my God, it's the mom, y'all. You gotta read it. You just gotta get the whole book, because I'm telling
you, the whole book.
I was there's so many other stories that I know about to be the bomb. And I said, when I go on my sabbatical, I'm about to be reading a story a day.
Yes. They are all very good. And I think the theme in this book, the reason why I fell so in love with this particular series is because each person lends their voice, but it's always, every single story talks about loss of love, learning love, restoration of love. It's our father. It's our daddy. He is love. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And again, you guys can get in touch with her, Empower Me Books. No, Empower Me Enterprises.
Either one, you can do Empower
Okay.
Me.
I go to book, but
website, and then the books is Empower Me Books on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes, and get your copy today. The book goes live tomorrow, official release, and let's get ready for book 4. I love you, sis.
I love you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.